I want to first of all say thank you to all of you who made it today to this lecture, training, or dialogue. I would call it dialogue than lecture, more than lecture and training. A little bit about myself. I came to this country 1996, so I've been here about 20 years. I've attended elementary school, middle school, high school, finished my bachelor's at in political science at University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and went back and got my master's at Mankato in education and leadership. And Mankato is where actually I grew up. I consider it home. That's where my family lives. I moved up here in 2010 to help with youth work and the Islamic Dawah Center. It's a promise that I made. The Imam who's at the Islamic Dawah Center came up to Mankato to give a lecture, and he met with a few of us before he left, and he made us promise that we would come back to the city, or come to the city where there was a large population of Somalis and Muslims that needed help, that needed to be given services for, especially the youth. He said he had a lot of youth that he worked with, and he would like to add me to his team, and that's why I came to St. Paul. I would have stayed in Mankato. I love it down there. I like camping, I like fishing, I like going to the lake. That's where I could do that, but here I know we go out as well. Some of the jobs I hold, I'm a director of Bright Start Child Care Center, which is located on University and Craigs. I'm the administrator of Minnesota Dawah Institute. I'm a consultant on youth violence prevention for the city of Minneapolis. I am an ambassador for the city of St. Paul. And I am an advisor, and I've advised many diplomats from all over the world, Italy, Denmark, England, on youth violence prevention. My favorite one was Eric Holder. When he came up here, he met with us. And the gift that I'm going to be giving today, I give to him. And he invited us, a few of us, to come and visit his office. And some of my co-advisors, when they went there, they found that gift on his desk. So I'll be giving that gift at the end. I want you, if you have any questions, to write it on a piece of paper and give it to Anita. Where's Anita? There's Anita. At the end, Imam Hassan will be coming. Imam Hassan will be helping with some of the questions as well. At 2:30, he'll come and help with some of the questions. Imam Hassan has done work in the community for the last 30 years. He's a lawyer, he's an imam, and he has a lot of knowledge. He's a professor. He has a lot of knowledge about Islam, and some of the questions that you might have, he might be able to answer better than I can. I'm his student as well. So without further ado, we'll start. How many departments are here? How many departments are here? So if somebody from each department can say the department you're from.
Emergency management.
Okay.
HR.
HR. Public Works.
Libraries.
Libraries.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Recs. Okay.
Planning and economic development.
Okay. Katie, thank you. So this gives me a better chance to tailor my dialogue to these departments. So we'll start with Muslims in Minnesota. We have 150 to 200,000 population in Minnesota, more likely the 200,000 or more, according to the Council of Churches. 4% are Arab, 38% are immigrants, 17% are multi-generational, 45% are first-generation Muslims. And then the largest population of Muslims in Minnesota come from East Africa, especially Somalia. Why did I choose that statistics? Minnesota Council of Churches. Why did I choose that? I could choose any other statistics. I chose that specifically because most of the refugees come through these agencies that the council has in their group. So like Lutheran services, they're the ones who bring immigrants to this country and to the state, and they have better numbers than any agency, because when you're Somali or when you're Muslim, you just put down the ethnicity you are. You don't put your Somali, you put your African American or your black or your the places you are. So there's no way to figure out who is who on other statistics. Histories of Muslims in America. The first mosque ever built was built by immigrants from Lebanon, and it was built in Ross, North Dakota. Imagine, in the Midwest. In the Midwest. This picture right here is that mosque, but this is they rebuilt it in 2005. It was destroyed in 1970, and there was a cemetery there. And when I did some research on it, some of the people that were talking about it didn't want to talk about why it was destroyed. They just said they were not there for the conversation. But it was rebuilt in 2005. It was named after Sarah, one of the granddaughters of the people that founded the mosque. And she was one of the persons that encouraged to rebuild the mosque the way it was. And then the second mosque, which was built 5 years later, not too far from us, Rapid City, Iowa. And it's called the Mother Mosque of America because it's the original, or the template that the mosque took. So the mosques in America, they don't only play as mosque, they work as community center. They help the members that come there, and there's not a list of members that attend the mosque. It's open to all Muslims. It's not a certain sect or a certain group. Everybody is welcome in every mosque, no matter where you're from, what ethnicity you are. Everyone is welcome. So it's called the Mother Mosque of America for the example, and then the rest of America took the same initiative as well. They either look like that, they look like the Dawah Center. So I'll have more pictures as we go, so we can see. If you can't hear me, let me know so I can speak louder. Sometimes I don't speak loud enough. The Islamic faith. Muslims believe in the oneness of Allah, God. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the final messenger of God, and their daily life reflects the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the traditions of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are many ethnicities, nationalities that make up believers of Islam. They also come with their own customs. Example, the type of food they eat, the type of clothes they wear. So if a person tells you they're Muslim, but they also have a culture too that they carry with that. In our mosque we have Somali Muslims, we have Hmong Muslims, we have West African Muslims. Each one of them has its own custom and culture. But the religion itself is how they live their life. There are some differences which one should observe while helping Muslim clients. And I'll go over some of those different things right now. Definition of Islam. There's two meanings. The religious meaning is submission to the will of Allah, God. And the linguistic meaning, Islam means peace in Arabic, or salam, peace. Islam is the religion. Muslim is the follower of the religion of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam. So what does it mean to be a Muslim, right? If someone is a Muslim, they follow these 5 things. This is the bare minimum that they follow. The testimony of faith, that they witness that there's only one God and that Muhammad is the final messenger. Second, the 5 daily prayers. The 5 daily prayers, the way it's broken up is you have the early morning prayer, which is right before sun rises. Right before sun rises. Second one is afternoon. Third one is midday. Fourth one is sunset, right after the sun sets. And then the last one is the night prayer. So 5 daily prayer. And the analogy of the 5 times a day prayer, if somebody was to take a bath in a river 5 times a day, they would be clean. So the 5 daily prayers is a must, is obligatory on all Muslims to pray. So if you have Muslim co-workers and they say they're going to go pray to you, and then 2 hours later they came back and say, I'm going to go pray again, don't say, why are you praying so many times? So try to understand that we have to follow a strict schedule. And I'll show you how to find the prayer times at the end. There's ways to find the prayer time. And so every year with the sun set, the hour shift, so sometimes the daylight is shorter, sometimes it's longer. So the prayers are scattered around the day, depending on the daylight saving that we have. So that's number 2. Number 3, giving alms, zakat. Every Muslim is required to give 2.5% of their annual saving in charity. This is our tax, right? 2.5% of our annual saving. So if I have 25,000 saved from the time of the beginning of the Muslim lunar after Ramadan to the time Ramadan, I have to give 2.5%, not 25%, 2.5% of that 25,000. Who's good with math? So 2.5 of the 25,000. And then the 4th one, fasting in the month of Ramadan, which lands on the 9th month of the lunar calendar. On the calendar that we use, the Gregorian calendar, it moves back 15 days every year. So when I first came to this country, it was in the summer, which is the longest daylight time. And in 20 years' time, I've experienced it in the winter where the daylight time is short, where you only fast about 8 hours to 9 hours, to fasting 16 hours to 19 hours a day. And when you're fasting, the fasting is you don't eat any food, you don't drink any water, you sustain yourself from backbiting, gossiping, you sustain yourself from cursing, you try to do more ibadat, meaning you try to do more worship, you try to pray more, you try to ask for forgiveness. It's a holy month, the whole 30 days. People will go to pray late at night, especially when the daylight saving is longer, the night is shorter. People will be praying. This last Ramadan, last month of fasting, the prayers was from 11 to 12, 11 to 1, or, depending on the time. So if you have to go to work the next day, you're going to feel very tired. Luckily, I work in a business where my bosses are Muslim and they understand. And then I'm fasting the next day from being tired the night and praying and going to work the next day tired again. So that whole month is very exhausting. And if the employer understands this and is more lenient during this month towards your Muslim employees, it would be great, especially public works. Public works is here. If they're working outside during this time, it's important to keep that into consideration. Parks and Rec, I know some young men who were working there this summer that they told me it was very hard. It was either they were doing the swim pool, they were doing some things that was very hard for them as well. So keeping that in consideration, it's only 30 days. It flies by really fast. And just to keep them in mind that they are fasting. The food thing usually is not a big deal. The first day is usually the hardest day of the fasting. And then after that, we're used to seeing food all over the place at our jobs and different things. And it doesn't affect us as much as the first day is very hard. After the first day, it gets very easy. The last 29 days, it's like a walk in the park. The last one, pilgrimage to Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, at least once in a person's lifetime, and only if they can afford it. Only if they can afford it. Not everybody can afford it. Average price of going to pilgrimage right now is 8,000. 8,000. That includes the hotel, the pilgrimage, and everything. And I'll explain a little bit more in another slide. But this right here, you might have an employee that asks for 10 days off. I don't know how the city works on giving religious sabbaticals or religious time off. It's 10 days. It's 2 weeks. You have to add the 2 days of the travel as well. So that 10 days that they're out doing the pilgrimage, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 3 weeks, depending on the group that they go with. Each group has its own schedule of where they're going to visit, the sites they visit. So that's another thing to be mindful of and to think about. Sometimes they will go at least once in their lifetime. The 6 articles of faith: believe in one God, believe in all the angels, including Jibreel, Israfil, Mikael, Nakir and Munkar. These 2, they will question you when you are in your grave. And there are many more angels. We have to believe they exist as part of our faith. Believe in all books, faith from Allah, that are faith from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah sent them to humans through the prophets, including the Torah of Moses, the Gospel of Jesus, Quran of Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. This is news for a lot of people. People don't understand that we believe in the Torah, we believe in the Gospel, and we also believe in the Quran. We believe in Jesus, we believe in Moses, and all the prophets that came prior to Muhammad. And when I'm explaining this to most people, they're shocked. They're shocked to find that out. And then 4th is believe in all prophets, from Adam, Noah, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and there are many more prophets that are mentioned in the Quran and in the Hadith. Believe in the day of judgment, that the world will end. That we have to believe in that, it's part of our faith. And then the last one, believe in fate and destiny of every creature was planned by Allah, God. So everything that we do when we're alive, when we're born, when we die, things that happen to us on a daily basis was pre-planned. If we choose to do good or bad, that's up to us. Our destiny was planned. So the 6 articles of faith. Islam and other religions. So I'm only comparing the 3, the Muslims, Christians, and Judaism. They are all people of the book. All three religions share basic beliefs that God is one, which is articulated through their holy books, Quran, Gospel, and Torah. So essentially they believe in the same God. The message is the same. It's different directions of where we are going towards the explanation. Who is Muhammad? Prophet Muhammad was born on the 20th or 22nd of April, 571 AD in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Became an orphan at the age of 6. He was raised by his grandfather and later by his uncle. So this too helped shape the way he became. He was very honest. He was known for being honest, trustworthy. He was a shepherd. He was a businessman. This is interesting too. He was raised illiterate, unable to read and write, and remained like this till he died. Before receiving revelation, he had no prior knowledge of any other religion. He didn't know about the Torah. He didn't know about the Bible before he received the message. He received the first revelation at the age of 40, and he died at the age of 61. He died June 8th, 632 AD in Medina. I gave those 2 dates, but Muslims don't celebrate his birthday or his death. They don't celebrate his birthday or death. They consider him as a messenger, as a prophet. No more than that. He's not son of God. In some religions, the prophet was a son of God. He's not son of God. He is a prophet. He is a messenger. And he brought the final message to mankind. If I'm going too fast, please let me know so you can slow me down. The 5 essential protections. Islam protects life, religion, no matter what type of religion, wealth, honor, and family, and property. and I'll explain more of this. Life, it's all living creature, whether it be animal, whether it be plant, whether it be anything that's living, is protected under Islam. Religions. I traveled to many countries. One of my favorite places to go and visit is Yemen, which is a place where my ancestors are from. I'm from Somalia. I was born in Somalia. My family lived in Somalia for thousands of years, but ancestor-wise, we came from Yemen. When I visited there, I was visiting some of the people that visited my family before the war of Somalia. There were a few people that I was really interested in meeting, especially the ambassador that was sitting in Somalia before the war started, who was a friend of my grandfather. And he was working at the head of the immigration office in Yemen at that time. When I went to talk to him, I found out that inside the immigration, I found Jewish Yemeni people, I found Christian Yemeni, and I found Muslim Yemeni, all working under the same office. They all spoke the same language. They wore the same clothes. Their head covers might be different, but they all looked alike. There's no difference. This is what attracted me to learn more about other religions, to find out if they're doing that in Yemen, one of the most poorest country, and now it's almost at the brink of ruining itself. Water is very limited there as well. That these three religions can be housed in the same office and work together. So religion is protected under Islam. It doesn't matter what media says, it doesn't matter what people say. The media will try to say, oh, Muslims are the only ones living in the Middle East. Middle East only makes up 14% of the Muslim world. Less than 14% of the Muslim world. And even in there, you find Muslims, Christians, and Jews living together without any issues. Wealth. Person's wealth is protected. There has to be a court. If the country doesn't have a court to protect that, it's not going to work. How many of you know of a country that is strictly running on Sharia law, that is Islamic State, that exists today in the world? There are zero. There are zero. And I'll say it again, zero. Majority of them don't run as Islamic State. They run as a democracy, and they don't enforce 100% of the Sharia. They enforce some of it, but not all of it. So there's no country today that is 100% running on Islamic law. So honor and property, all of this is protected under Islam. If a Muslim country was doing that, you would find all this protection under that Islamic State. The four sources of Islamic law: the Quran, the Holy Scripture; Sunnah, the tradition of the Prophet; Ijama, which is the consensus of the scholars on a particular problem. Like, for example, during the time of the Prophet, there was no internet, right? This is a long time ago. There was no internet. There was no laws that were set upon internet. There was no airplanes. There was no laws set based on that. So the scholars will come in and try to find similarities from here of the problem that they're looking for in the Quran and in the Sunnah. They will come together. It's not just one. It's a group of scholars that will decide whether a problem is either halal or haram. Halal is permissible, haram is not permissible. Or makruh, which is disliked by the scholars. It's not mentioned in the Quran, it's not mentioned in the Sunnah, and they couldn't come to a concession on that, so they make it disliked. Qiyas. Qiyas is a combination of the three, and is reasoning by analogy and applying all other problems whose solutions cannot be found from all three sources. So we cannot find the source from all three of them, so we're going to have to do qiyas, which means something that is close enough to the solution of that problem. Internet, I'll go back to internet again, is the hardest thing for them to come to consensus on different things that we're using on internet. So those kind of things that they still haven't figured out. You just have to use your qiyas on the bottom, your closest answer. Food and drinks. Prohibited in Islam. All pork products, alcohol, recreational drugs. Why are all these three prohibited in Islam? Islam wants to protect the health of the body and the mind, and that is the reason why all three above are prohibited in Islam. Anything that messes with the mind, with the head, with your brains, or your body is not allowed to be consumed. Dress. In Islam, women should cover their body except their face and hand, what is with hijab or covering. In Islam, men have to cover from their navel to their knee. But you don't see Muslim men walking around with just navel to knee covering. They cover the whole body. But what's required of them is to cover from navel to knee. How does it look like? I'll show you in another slide. What does this hijab look like? In different stages of some of our sisters, some of them want to wear certain hijab, some of them want to wear different types of hijab. Sometimes you'll have an employee that will start out not wearing any hijab, and she becomes religious later on, or she chooses to wear her hijab, and she'll come to work one day. So she was working for you 2 years, and then she comes to work wearing hijab. After 2 years of working with you, you're shocked, right? Some people might be shocked. And I've seen members that have come to me who worked for other industries like banks and whatnot, who started out not wearing hijab and start wearing hijab, and the backlashes that they got from that. And some places they had to go legally, some places we just had to write a letter. I can also go with the men as well. Some men will grow their beard, which is part of the tradition of the Prophet. This is another topic that keeps coming back to our institute. We'll have members that are working at a security company, and the manager will say, you need to shave your beard in order to work there. But again, that person that came to me worked for that company for 3 years, became religious, and wanted to grow his beard. So we wrote a letter to the company, and they accepted him to keep his beard. So most of the time it's just to get the managers to understand that this is part of their faith, this is part of their religion. In everybody's life, you become religious. Nobody is 100% perfect. Islamic holidays. There are only 2 Islamic holidays. Eid al-Fitr is at the end of the month of Ramadan, the month of fasting. And Eid al-Adha is the 10th day of the last month of the Islamic lunar calendar, Dhul Hajj, which is coming 6 days from today. So 6 to 7 days from today, it will be Eid al-Adha. So if you have a Muslim neighbor, which most of you do, if you have a Muslim neighbor, if you have a Muslim colleague, you can say Eid Mubarak. So let's practice, okay? Eid Mubarak. It means happy Eid or joyous Eid. Eid Mubarak. I'm pretty sure it will make their day if you say that to them. It will make their day. They'll look at you twice before they know what you're talking about, but they will make their day. Islam is a customary guide, right? So if a Muslim person is following the religion of Islam, they would live their life the way the religion says. So this part is added in here, marriage in Islam. Most of the time, you'll have couples that will marry traditionally, And that traditional marriage is performed at the mosque. So marriage and divorce is done at the mosque first. And then they make it official after that. So if that makes sense. So to get the marriage license, most of the time they go through their imam, they get married, and then they go and get their paper, their license through the imam. Imam Hassan, who will be here, he does both. He will do the traditional marriage for them, and then he signs off on their license for marriage. Naming of children. So according to most Muslim cultures and customs, the person, his or her name is the given name, then is the father's name and the grandfather's name. For example, I give an example, Muhammad Ahmed Ali. And so if you take this down, they will be surprised if you can say, oh, this is what your name means. So Muhammad is the son of Ahmed, who is also the grandson of Ali. So this is how this translates. Muhammad Ahmed Ali. Muhammad, the son of Ahmed, the grandson of Ali. I traveled to Kuwait in 2014. The government of Kuwait invited us and a few people from all over the world to take a tour of the country, infrastructure, and ministries. When we came to this country, my dad, when he wrote the names, he started with my oldest brother, my sister, and so on. He wrote the first name for my brother, he did. And then after that, he just did the check marks. So my middle name dropped. So on my passport, it just says Kassim Busuri. So when I went to Kuwait, they held me for an hour trying to figure out what my middle name was. And after the end, they came to me and said, do you have a middle name? I said, yes. And I gave them my middle name, and they led me through to the country. So most of the time, Muslim countries will try to use the three names to see if your father did something if your father owes money, if your grandfather owes money, or if your father committed a crime, or if your grandfather committed a crime, they can go after you for those lost money or crimes that they have committed against somebody else. So that's the way it's done. Some people will take their tribe name. I'll give another example as their last name. Saadiya Umar Salim is her full name, plus bin Umar Ba Umar. This person is a Somali-Yemeni person. You can tell with the bin and a ba. Bin and ba is common in Yemen. So Saadiya, who is the daughter of Umar, who is the granddaughter of Salim, from the tribe of bin Umar Ba Umar. That's one example. In some names, you will find Haji or Sheikh. Haji means somebody who performed Hajj and is one of the pillars of Islam. So if I go and do the pilgrimage, after I come back, I will have the title of Haji Kassim Busuri, right? So that would be my title. I'm not there yet. I haven't done my pilgrimage yet. Sheikh is given to somebody who's a scholar or somebody who's an elderly person at the age of, can be older than 40, right? So somebody who's older. In Islam, you're a teenager or you're considered a youth until you're the age of 40. You're considered a youth until the age of 40. Then after 40, you're older. So Haji and Sheikh. So you'll have somebody that will have their name that will say, okay, for example, Muhammad Ahmed Sheikh Ali would be his last name. So his grandfather was either a sheikh or considered an elder person in his community. This is important. This is another thing that we get at our institute. We have Delta usually gives benefits to your parents, and they don't have the same last name. So they have to prove that this person is the father. So we write these letters for them to explain that this is what it is. And different companies will ask the same thing as well to prove that this person is the son or the father of that person. shaking hands. So there's a hadith, there's a saying of the Prophet. It was narrated that Yasser said, the Messenger of Allah said, for one of you to be stabbed in the head with an iron needle is better for him than that he should touch a woman who is not permissible for him. So what does this mean? Okay? Permissible to him, permissible to a man to touch his wife, like the hands of his wife, the hands of his daughter, the hands of his sister, the hands of his mother. This was put in place for protection of the woman. So you'll find many Muslim women do not shake the hands with men. You'll find many Muslim men do not shake hands with women. And this is why. I wanted to add this into the lecture because a lot of people don't understand why some Muslim men will shake, why some Muslim men won't shake or touch a woman that's not permissible for him. So, best practice, what to do if you don't know, right? So the person you're meeting with is a Muslim person who's coming to your office, or you're interviewing. It goes the same way. So the woman will not touch a man that's not permissible for her as well. So you're interviewing a woman who is a Muslim, or you're interviewing a man that's a Muslim. Man to man handshake is okay. Woman to woman handshake is okay. But if it's the opposite sex, this is what to do, or gender. I said, place your right hand on your heart and say the greeting to them, whether it be good afternoon, hello, how are you? This would be the best practice of what to do when you are in that situation. There are some Jewish cultures that are the same way. There are some Asian culture that is the same way as well. This is, again, culture and part of the religion. The source that I got this from, the sheikh that wrote this, is in Saudi Arabia. He said, whoever does this is committing a sin. Some scholars translate it as a different type of touch. Some will translate it as this. So there's two opinions. It depends on the person and which opinion they take. So on the lighter note, let's learn some Somali. How to say hello or how are you in Somali. Sidee tahay is how are you doing in Somali. Sidee tahay. Okay? And then if you want to say I'm fine, wan fi'anahay. Very easy language to learn. If you want to take courses on Somali language, they have courses at the U of M. I think a semester course that can give you all the basics of the Somali language. And the professor there is one of my friends, and he's also one of my teachers as well. I know some police officers took the course a while back, and they can say these words. They can say galap wanaagsan, good afternoon, subax wanaagsan, good morning. So there's more. I just wanted to give you the easy stuff. Sidee tahay is the how are you doing, and then wan fi'anahay is I'm fine. So if you have a client or an employee that comes, you can say sidee tahay. Hopefully they're Somali. Most of the time, majority of East Africans look alike. Majority of East Africans look alike. So you could offend somebody by just starting out with sidee tahay. People don't, when they first see me, they don't know I'm Somali. Working at the Islamic Dawah Center for the last 7 years, most of the time when a Somali person comes into the office and they see me, they'll try to speak in English, and it's very hard for them to speak. And then I just talk to them in Somali, and they're like, "You're Somali?" I say, "Yes, I can talk to you in Somali." It took me a while to learn my own language, I will be honest. Growing up in this country, I've lost the language. When I came back to the cities is when I relearned the Somali language. So I'm still learning. My wife is fluent. She just came to the country 2 years ago, her and my son. came 2 years ago from Kenya. So it was a long process for them to come here as well. What is jihad? Dr. I like this name, Fatuhi, said that jihad is simply the process of exerting the best effort involving some form of struggle and resistance to achieve a particular goal. So is jihad what the media says, which is the media takes jihad and terrorists and puts it together. Jihad is not mean terrorist or a holy war. It does not mean a holy war. Jihad means the struggle against or resistance to something for the sake of good cause. The protection under Islam, life, animals and human, religion, property, everything, land, air, sea. Being an advocate is being a jihadist, right? Being an advocate for intellect, arts and science and math is being a jihadist. So Katie, who likes to smile, smiling is in tough moment is jihad. So keeping patience in hard times is jihad. Struggling for good deeds is jihad. Taking care of old parents in a loving way is jihad. Forgiving is jihad. Jihad is not what the media shows, but what the Quran says, to strive and struggle. So this is what jihad means. Today, I am happy to see 70 people understand what jihad is. I want you to take that message and share with another 70 that you learned today what jihad means. It's always misunderstood and misplaced, and some people will hijack it to use it for their own purpose as well. Okay, mosque. If you drive down on University or you take the light rail, you will see the Islamic Dawah Center. We're right on University, 478 University Avenue West. You probably passed by this building multiple times. I don't know if it's probably very hard to see with the screen. First thing you'll see when you walk in a mosque is a shoe shelf. Everybody takes their shoes off when you go into a mosque. It's a holy place. And if you notice right here, over here, do you notice anything particular about this picture right here? This is inside the mosque.
No chairs.
No chairs. Thank you. No chairs. So we pray on the rug, we sit on the rug, there's no chairs. This is just a portion of our mosque and dawah. I had to find a picture of this. This circle that they're in is called halaqa, is a knowledge circle. You'll find it at mosque. So if you're visiting a mosque and you notice that there's somebody teaching and there's a circle around that person, don't disturb them until they finish their teaching. If you can, come back at another time, because if you stop their lecture, it might cause delay for their learning. So it's best to just, somebody might come out to you if you notice that they are in a lecture. If you notice that they're praying, you can wait. There's no problem with that. And then when they're done, somebody will come out and talk to you. And over here, this is Imam Hassan. This is one of our classrooms, teaching teenagers. We have over 300 students, and 70% of them are teenagers, ages from 14 to 18. Majority of them are that age. Very hard to deal with. So when Deputy Mayor was talking about how I stopped to talk to the two young men, I mentor about 20 youth every year. And the youth that I mentor, I try to make sure that they are on time for the times that I tell them to meet me and the places that I tell them to meet me. I have a very busy schedule. I have a family that I have to raise. If they don't make it on time, they fall off. They fall off on the list. I bring more people on. I help them. I've helped young men with their entrepreneur businesses, help them start up. I've helped young men who are struggling with school be better in school. I've helped them find employment. So it's a lot of work to deal with at least 10, but let alone 20. So when they're not following my directions, I move on to the next group of youth who are ready for it. Families will come and ask for that service. It's based on the parents coming or the youth coming and asking for a request. We don't go out and search for it. They usually come to us for that help. Oh, going back to the mosque. The mosque, Minnesota Dawah Institute is the first mosque purchased by the Muslim community in St. Paul. When I say purchased, there were other mosques, they were rented out to begin with, and they bought them. There are about 5 to 6 mosques in St. Paul. But the first to be bought in 2007 by the community was Islamic Dawah Center. And it's 100% funded by the community. 100% funded by the community through donations. We do youth counseling, we do family counseling. We are a community center. St. Paul doesn't have the Brian Coyle of Minneapolis, which serves the Somali community and the East African community. So most of the time, the community's first place to look for help is the mosque. This is where they go for, I had at least 5 families call me this morning that they needed health insurance and they don't know how to get it. So we are helping them with the process of getting that. Some people don't know how to get resources. We help them with that process. And youth development. Just a couple of days ago, we were in New London, Minnesota with 70 youth. We took them out camping for the first time. It's the only time I get out to camping. 5 days out of the year, I go out to camp with these youth. It's a lot of work. The food, the running after them at the middle of the night, trying to get them back. It's a lot of work, but it's a detox for them because there's no TV, there's no internet, there's no phones. A lot of them go crazy the first night because they don't know what to do with their life without that phone. Literally, I'm serious, they don't know what to do with their life. Some of them even cried. It was hard for some of them. So we came back safely, everybody is safe, 70 there, 70 back, thank God. Usually every year somebody gets hurt and I have to run to the emergency and take somebody back to the emergency, but this year, no injuries, everybody is fine, we came back healthy and happy. Hajj. So I wanted to just give you a picture of what they do at Hajj. All the spots on here, they have to make the visitation to throughout the 10 days that they're there. This is the Kaaba. So they make the visitation to these. All these dots you see in here are people. This is the Kaaba. So this is just a diagram. Today you have hotels, 5-star hotels, Hilton, Garden, all of them surrounding this site. So this is an older picture of the Hajj, but this is the places that they have to visit. Millions of people make the pilgrimage. People get lost, people get hurt. They try to keep the numbers of people who get hurt down every year. I believe last year it was 3 to 4 million people that were able to perform the Hajj. Every year the number increases. And they're all doing the same thing from all over the world. All over the world. The Quran I was telling you about earlier, it's in Arabic language. So the Quran that I read in my house, and if I take a trip to, let's say, Paris, I go to France, and I go to one of the mosques there, it's the same Quran that I was reading at home. It's same language, it's Arabic. Everything is same in there. If I go to China, again, it's same, it's in Arabic. So the main language in the religion is Arabic. Most of these people that came here don't speak Arabic, so they have guides that work with them to take them through the pilgrimage that do speak Arabic and help them with the process. Hijab. This is Qadra. She was in St. Paul to begin with. She's a police officer in Metro now. So St. Paul needs to do a little bit more work to bring more.
Or she could just stay.
She had to wait for the process. She had to wait for the process, but Harrington took her. But this is hijab, okay? We won't get into politics. This is hijab. So our sisters can wear whatever they want to wear. They choose the type of hijab they wear and how they wear it. This is their choice. Nobody forces them on which type to take. Today, you'll see this right here on the bottom. Most young girls have westernized their hijab to fit with the fashion of the day. So they're more like this today compared to back home, which the older tradition, they wear this. You'll find some younger sisters who will wear this as well. The niqab, is it wajib for them to wear the ninja? Again, it depends on how religious or how she wants to cover herself. It's up to her. The person that chooses to do this, it's a belief that they want to be closer to God, that they cover their whole face. What is required is to cover everything except for the hands and the face. But when a person covers their face, this is a person trying to get closer to God. It's permissible, but it's not required. It's not required. But their choice again of what they want to wear and how they want to wear it. My niece, my youngest niece, when she was going to elementary school, she struggled with this. She wanted to wear the hijab, but the kids would pick on her at school. So what I did was I went and spoke to the principal, who was great. I spoke to him. He ended up having a talk with the teacher and the students, and after that she felt comfortable wearing her hijab in school. Most of the time other kids bully them with the rhetoric and the Islamophobia that goes on today. They're the most visible Muslims today. Most visible. They're the most hate crimes that happens to them. Our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, because they're visible, because they're wearing the hijab. Either somebody pulls on their hijab, somebody says something behind them, calls them ISIS, takes a picture of them on Snapchat and puts ISIS on there. This is again, for them, this is their choice. Nobody forces them to wear it. It's for their religion, and they want to be closer to their Creator. And when somebody is making it hard for them, it makes it hard for everybody else in their family as well, because they will come and complain to their family. Most of the time, the parents don't know how to get help or where to get the help from, so they will request the mosque to intervene. We had to do that last year. During spring break last year, we had 80 girls fight in Central. 80. 40 of them were Somali, 40 of them were not. And all because of this right here, the hijab. With the help of the Ministerial Alliance with Tyrone Terrell and some Muslim leaders, we went and talked to all 80 girls and explained to them, this is your faith, this is their faith, this is their culture, this is your culture. And at the end of the day, they all were crying, they hugged each other, and we didn't have any more problems after that. This is right before for spring break. This is another thing I get pulled into in the schools when we have issues of hate crime or religious issues like this. When somebody gets bullied on, they call us in, either the imam or I or somebody from our mosque. We go in and help with that process and issue. Cultural divide by generation. You have the suitcase generation, and you have the Somali-Americans who see America is their final destination. They don't plan on going to go back and live in Somalia, but They consider Somalia their homeland. They live there. The suitcase generation are the older generation. Most of the time, they have their bags packed and they want to go back home as soon as it's peaceful. Right, Sheikh? As soon as it's peaceful, they want to go back home and settle, go back to their farm, go back to the cows they were herding. It's a beautiful country. Somalia is a beautiful country. It has a beautiful culture. Food is fresh. The Imam will talk about a little bit more of it. He was just there not too long ago, about a month ago. This is right here is Abdul Basit. He went through Right Track, is the young man I was telling you about. He's one of the students that we mentored. So a success story in St. Paul, and many more, right? Ilhan, state representative. Somalis in Minneapolis. So this is the Somali Mall. I meant to say Somali Mall, not Minneapolis. Sorry. Typo. So these ladies are the backbone of our community. They're the shopkeepers. They own these businesses. I have a lot of respect for them. I visit them at least once a month to talk to them. They own the businesses in Carmel Mall, 24 Mall. There are many malls in Minneapolis. We don't have any malls in St. Paul yet. And we're working on a large project. If there's any investors here that have 7 million, at the end of the talk, the dialogue, please see me if you have 7 million to make that mall. This right here is Happy Khalif. He's a comedian. He's also a barber. This is Abdul Hamid. He's a restaurant right here. And this is the name of this mall is called Souk Carmel or Carmel Mall. The address is here. Why am I referring to Minneapolis? That again, the malls that we want to go to are only in Minneapolis. So we are working on making sure that St. Paul, which has a large Somali population, also has a mall that we can go to. I don't want to have to drive 15 minutes, 20 minutes to go buy sambusa. I want to buy sambusas in St. Paul, made in St. Paul, right? Useful material. My neighbor is a Muslim. It was written by Lutheran Services, and Imam Hassan, who is here with us right now, helped co-edit the book itself. This is the link to it. I'll share this resource with Lisa by email. You can forward it to everyone. Minnesota Dawah Institute is another resource. You can go to our website. We have a lot of material there. Islamic Finder, if you want to find a local mosque, a local community center, if you want to find a grocery store, you can go to islamicfinder.org, and there's a button on there that says places. If you click on that and you have the zip code already on top, it will show you all the mosques, all the halals. Halal is a grocery store that's in there. When you research something about Islam on Google or any search engine, the first 500 articles you will see is anti-Islam articles. So my favorite resource is Mission Islam. Mission Islam, majority, I would say 100% of the articles and material in there is unbiased. It's not about anti-Islam. It talks about Islam itself. There's an English version of the Quran and so on. So resources. Okay. So I'll keep this up for now. I have 5 questions to ask, and I have some gifts while I do those questions. Okay, so you were taking notes, most of you. And if you have questions, please write those questions and give it to Anita. Anita, you can raise your hand. Who can tell me the 5 pillars of Islam? 5 pillars of Islam. Yes.
Testimony and faith.
Okay.
5, 6.
All 5. Yeah.
The 5 days of prayer.
Yes.
I'm trying not to look. Making a pilgrimage.
Yes.
At least once in your lifetime.
Yes.
And giving of alms.
Yes.
And fasting. Yes.
Great. So
This is the gift.
it's a $15 gift. It's a Quran. This is the same gift we gave to Eric Holder. I was telling you about. We gave the Quran to Eric Holder at his office. This was sitting there when our group went there to visit him. It was sitting at his office as a point of reference. If you want to know anything about Islam, it will be in there, in that book.
And this is one of the beautiful of this Quran translation is comparing to any, because as an imam or as a scholar, I read about many translation in English. I would say this is the best for 2 reasons. Number one, the author has simplified the language in a way that every new interested person about Islam could understand about Islam. That's number one. Number two, as you know, sometimes verses, whether it's from Quran, from any Old Testament, sometimes requires like a specific type of the language to explain. But he chose like a different route to make it understandable and easy for those who are newcomers or new people who are interested to know much about Islam. So that's why this is like one of the best gifts. So Chris, yeah, congratulations.
All right, question number 2. Where was Prophet Muhammad born? She had her hand up first.
Was it Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia.
Mecca.
Do you know the city?
Mecca.
Correct. Thank you.
Congratulations.
What is one form of jihad? Yes.
Take care of your elders.
Taking care of your elders. That's one form of jihad. That's correct.
Yes, congratulations. He took my topic, so you're welcome.
Okay. Then last 2. Actually, I'll leave these last 2 for you. You can ask.
I think that's good. Yeah. The questions will be more difficult. Okay, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Imam Hassan Muhammad. I'm the Imam of, I would say, the first mosque purchased by the Muslims in St. Paul. That's 478 University Avenue West. You're always welcome. Anytime I, Kassim, and many other officials of the mosque are there most of the time. We welcome you to show you like how much we love you, starting like as a human being. So regardless of your faith, for 2 reasons. If you look at the Quran, this is like where we have a lot of misconception about the Islam. Number one, the Quran says itself, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. This verse means, indeed, we sent you, talking about the Prophet Muhammad, Allah is saying, we sent you as a mercy to the mankind. So regardless of who is that mankind. So it means like give mercy, show mercy to any mankind. Mercy is more than love. Mercy, according to the Quran, is everything which is good for the humanity. So mercy is opening all doors that you need to be opened for you to relieve whatever difficulty that you are in your life. So that is number one. So if you look, what you hear is opposite of what I'm telling you today, or many of it. Number two, which is very important in Islam, the word of Islam, I think I have a marker, right? Let me share with you this in Arabic and then in English. The word of Islam is written in Arabic this way. Anyone knows how to read Arabic? Which, okay, I think this is the best way that I can make money today. I have Arabic class, basic. I just started 2 weeks ago. You can join. I promise you, within 4 months, after you end 4 months, you will know how to read and how to write basic Arabic. And you can, even not only that, you can talk basic Arabic, which is like a greeting and welcoming and so on. And you can read perfectly Arabic after 4 months. It's a very intensive 2 nights, Tuesday nights, and also Wednesday night, like tonight, 7:30 to 9, 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes. The only problem is very, very expensive. Do you know how much? Each per month? 5,000. No, sorry, forgive me. 5,000. I'm right? 5,000. Anybody wants a scholarship? 5,000 cents. Now you're happy. How much is that? $50 per month. Very cheap. Very cheap. And then if you're attending our Islamic University, I give you 3 credit. I certify you, someone finished 4 months program with me as a basic Arabic 1, and then you get 3 credit for the Islamic University of Minnesota. It's a big university. We have thousands of students in nationwide, and we have more than about 20 countries branches of this Islamic University. It's a private Islamic University of Minnesota. One of the classes held in our center every Saturday night from 6 to 10. So anyone who interested to be part of this class, please talk to me or Kassim. You can register. It's not open only for the Muslims, it's open for everyone. So you can come. If you don't feel like you can have a scarf, don't worry, you can still come and I can teach you. And you'll feel like a lot of change after 2 months. We finished the book called like a green book, but a lot of homework. So, but the good thing is like you can contact me any night or any time, ask me questions through phone or via emails, and I will work with you. It's intensive class. So my friend raised his hand. So what is this?
Oh, I can't see through that far. So.
It's Shirwa. Shirwa, no, you cannot. So Shirwa, I thought that someone else. You know better than anyone about this. Anybody who can try before Shirwa to read this? It's in Arabic. Okay, Shirwa, do you want me to make it like bigger here? And then you can see it? I know he can read it. Okay, what's this? Shirwa. I'm sure you can read it. Al-Islam. Yes. And then this originally came these 2 letters. It's a masdar. Masdar means like the source of Islam. Islam, the source is salam or salam. So, which means like peace. And it has, the word Islam has 2 meanings. One is submission to the will of God. So you do what God wants you to do. And number 2 meanings, which is very important, is peace. And the Prophet Muhammad said very beautiful hadith. Hadith, if you hear that word, hadith means saying of Prophet Muhammad, tradition of Prophet Muhammad. What he said or what he did. He said he or she is not a Muslim, the one that harms others either verbally or by action. So this is also another definition of Islam. It's a beautiful hadith or saying of Prophet Muhammad. He or she is not a Muslim, the one harms others by verbally or action. So that's the general meaning of Islam. And Kassim gave you like a basic information about 5 pillars of Islam, but there are also 6 pillars of faith. You talked about that. So what I'm talking today is the time that I have. I will divide. What time I have? 3? Okay. If that's the case, and then I thought that I was given like, okay, that I have an hour, so it's only 10 minutes left if that's the case. I would say if that's the case, I would give you time to ask questions. So because we don't have time. I was trying to explain more about jihad and misconception about jihad. And then I was trying to share with you, I just came back from Somalia. It's true what just Kassim said. Many, I would say like regardless of where they are coming from, Somali part, appreciate that you welcome us in America, not only that in Minnesota. So we always, even after Trump, we always call Minnesota nice. Anything, I would say this, some people were deported, like unfortunately, in an unfair procedure. Still, those people, they have high respect to America. And this is what I always joke, but it is also serious to say. If America, my God forbid, if something happens to America or to Americans, remember one thing, you have future country to come and feel that your country, that is Somalia. So we welcome you as more than that you welcome us for 2 reasons. Number 1, faith. The faith of Islam requires us. In Islam we say Prophet Ibrahim or Abraham is the father of prophets. And he was the father of welcoming. So that's one tradition. We are coming from the faith of Abraham as a Muslims to welcome everybody who welcomes you. And you do welcome more than, listen to what the Prophet said, peace be upon him. The Prophet said, your neighbor who welcomed you, your neighbor, Jibreel, angel of Jibreel, one of the angels, came to the Prophet and said how many times? 3 times. Your neighbor, your neighbor, your neighbor who welcomed you, until the Prophet Muhammad thought after his death they may have share of his inheritance to that level. Regardless of the color, faith, your neighbor has to be first. I always advise my audience or congregation, if you have a neighbor who are non-Muslims, go and know about them, because God will ask you after your death. This is a very serious. If any neighbor is suffering for any reason and you don't know about them, that's what I'm worrying. If you ask me one thing that you worry America, that God might punish you, because you know neighbor in the definition of neighbor in Islam, it is 40 houses from each direction. How many? How many? 160. I, as Imam Hassan, is responsible. I am responsible for 160 houses to know their situation. I can't, but God wants me to know as much as I can, to try as much as I can. There's a man that was about, as you just said, like was planning to go to Mecca to perform the Hajj pilgrimage, and he had enough money. You know what he did? He went to house to say goodbye. That was the rule for 160 houses. At the end, the last house, he found a family that never ate 7 days, and their kids were crying, and he found something in the pot, and water was boiling. And then the man said why they were crying, the kids, and the man said because 7 days they never ate, and they're starving, they're about to die. So what I did is I found piece of dead donkey. That's what I was cooking for them. Do you know what he did? He said, wait. He rushed. He went to his house. The whole money that he was collecting for 10 years to go to Mecca, he brought it to them. He said, I want you to take care of your family. And he dropped the whole water and donkey meat, and he gave the money to the family. And he stayed, and he canceled it because he had no money to go. And he did his duty to take care about one of the neighbors that was starving. Do you know what happened? This is the story. And I might conclude this and then ask me a question if the time left. This is what happened. He saw a dream. No, someone else saw a dream. Someone who was in Mecca saw a dream. That year of Hajj, 100,000 of people came to pilgrimage to perform the Hajj. Hajj and pilgrimage is the same. And to perform the Hajj, at the end, God rejected them because of the sin they committed. Those 100,000. But the two angels were talking in the dream. One said all their performance were rejected, and the other one said, yes, it's true, but God forgave them because of the one man and what he did, taking care of member of his neighbor. And then the other angel said, who was that man? And he mentioned the name of that man of that village that we just discussed. And then he said, what village? That village was in Sham, in Syria. And then he woke up and he told the congregation why the Hajj was accepted by God. And he traveled all the way from the Mecca to come to that village to find out what did he do, that man. Because the dream said only because of what he did. But he never found out what he did until he came all the way from Mecca to that village, and the man told him that the day that he's supposed to leave, according to the Sunnah, tradition of Prophet Muhammad, you have to say goodbye every neighbor and make sure that they have what they need. And I found this family who were starving, and I gave all my money because I could not live in this condition. And then I asked God, forgive me, I could not make it, and I canceled the estate. And the man who visited from Mecca, he said, because of what you have done, you saved 100,000 of their deeds. So this is the meaning of neighborhood in Islam. This is the meaning of you, your neighbor, your neighbors, and meaning of every one of us. So that's one thing that I want to share with you, and just to show what's about the Islam, but people never talk or never present. So we Somalis, we appreciate. It's our faith says that, and the Somali culture, Shirwa knows. The Somali culture, one of the definition of Somal means whenever you see a guest, keep them in your house for 7 days and get milk from your camel. Look, 7 days. You keep them 7 days. So if you come to my house, plan that I will keep you stay for 7 days. Okay, questions? Last 5 minutes or whatever minutes left. And then I will ask these two more before you leave. Yes?
When you go on the pilgrimage to Mecca, if you can go, what are some of the things that you do while you're there?
Oh, it is, I went, I think, one time with my mother who passed away. So there is a lot of work, a lot of rituals and procedures that you should do, and all of them are limited in Mecca. For example, you do like you circle 7 times the Kaaba, the black house which is there. You go and run to the mountain called, yes, Al-Marwa wa Safwa, 2 mountains. You run to one and then come back to the other one. How many times? 7. So this is part of the Hajj, the map of the Hajj. This is the one that you do circle 7 times. While you go to the mountain and come back and forth, it is history. you reflect to what Abraham did, what Abraham's wife did, Hajira. I think you heard about this, maybe some of you from the Bible or Old Testimony, when he left her alone with her son that was just born and no water was there. And then she said, are you leaving us alone? And then he said like, yes. And then he left and she ran after him. She said like, but nobody's there. And the whole area was desert. And then she asked him one question. She was a faithful woman. She said, does God know this, that you're leaving us alone? He said like, indeed, he does. She said, then you can go. God will never neglect us. Then what happened is, the boy Ishmael cried, and then he was hitting with his 2 feet like the ground, and a water came that called Zamzam today. Zamzam water is a special water that those who go there, they drink from it. It has a special blessing. So how that water came was, when he cried a lot, she started running back and forth to between 2 mountains, shouting, is there anyone? My son was crying. Is there anyone helping? Help, help. So, and then finally, the son found that water under his feet. So it's part of the also rituals, and many more that you should do that. It takes about 3 days, the 8th, the 9th of the month of the Dhul Hajj, and that month is the month that it is coming soon. And the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, but the most 3 important are the first 3 days, 8th, 9th, and the 10th. 10th is the holiday for the Muslims. So they celebrate that they completed about the rituals, and the rest from 10, 11, 12, 13 are extra, whoever can do that and stay there. And someone raised, yes, brother.
I was just wondering if there's a reason why the hijab is a black cloth.
Yeah. The reason? The black cloth? Yes. The black cloth. Black cloth?
Yeah, the hijab is black. I said, is there a reason behind that?
No, there's no reason. There's no specific reason that color was chosen. It's only, yes, tradition. Yeah, yes. No specific reason as a color-wise. Okay, I will ask one question. Yeah, 2 questions. Yes.
Another question. Yeah, I worked with Department of Parks and Recreation, especially in the design and construction division, and every time we have a new project, a new park, a park renovation, a new play area, we try to reach out the community and get input from the diverse community that is involved. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we struggle reaching out the Somali community or the Islamic community. I don't know if you can advise, or Kassim, how to reach out women and children and to get there.
I would give, if Kassim add or my brother Shewa, 2 best advice to reach out. Reach out through the mosques, Fridays. Fridays is the best day that even we advise the politicians to come and talk. They come and they take 5 minutes of my time. They talk to the people. Regardless of which party they are coming from, they talk, like, vote for me, I have this and this and this, and then I ask next one, as a religious entity, we don't align with any group. So, and the message reaches them. So that's the best way. So any program, now we had last health program that we had was which one? The measles, right? Yeah, the measles, what we did is like they used through the mosques to outreach all the Somalis. It was very successful. So, and so that's number 1 way. Number 2, use elders and the imams to hold meetings. So they respect. So for example, you say like Imam Hassan, can you hold, I need like to meet 50 mothers. I can bring 50 mothers as an imam. And elders are well respected also of the community. So those are the 2 big sources that you can use to bring and reach them and then convey the message that you want to.
Okay. And if we usually do like pop-up meetings at the parks. Is it okay to, to reach out women, or to go in the park or in the neighborhood? We would like to, because usually it's like we want to get people from the neighborhood to give us input on that specific neighborhood park. So do we have to go to the, for example, St. Paul Mosque, or can?
Yes, if that neighbor has a mosque like close to that area, it's a better. If he doesn't have, and then if you come like St. Paul Mosque, we have now 4 mosques, 5. If you go like one of those 5 is good. By the way, about the Somali community, many Somali community are moving to St. Paul. I was just talking last night. Okay, there are, I said like soon, I don't know, next 5 years, we'll compete with Minneapolis. And then don't worry about once we move those many, you'll have many malls coming, and then many tradition, and then many businesses are coming. But I agree, Kassim, those who have their pockets, this small amount of 7 million that just he told you, please don't forget that at the end of the meeting, this is a big business opportunity. Talk to Kassim. Yeah, the community. Yeah.
The consultation for Schaefer was going on, the Schaefer Rec Center. There was a couple of inputs put in for a wudu station, a footbath, because when you have Muslim youth coming, they'll make wudu because of the 5 daily prayer, that when they make wudu on the sink, they'll get water all over the floor and the sink. So I think under the Schaefer concept, they added a wudu station, and I think the city approved it. I think it's part of
It's in the design.
it's in the design. Yeah, it was
He's a project
approved.
manager.
Yeah, so I think it was approved the last time I checked, that to have that in the bathrooms, or one of the bathrooms to have that. So that we're very grateful that you guys are doing that. I think Mike, who's the yeah. I'm a board member at the Friends of the Park too, so I see Mike, and Mike told me about that.
Yeah, that's very important. And then, by the way, sometimes when you want to do that type of or build that type of the construction project, you can have us, the mosques, to be part of the donors. So not only the city donates, the community feel responsibility also to donate. So you tell us like you're building this station of wudu or a pollution, and then you say like, can you take like a 50%, I mean like 5th of the project's money, then we go out, reach the community, and will help. So that will remove burden on the city or the county. So that's another. So 2 questions, are we ready? Okay, you look like the one who wants to get a question. Okay, ready? Okay, I don't know if he taught you, but the Prophet Muhammad had a great a wife that even after her death, he never forgets the neighbor of that wife. Not only her neighbor, even her friends, her relatives, he was relating to them. So I don't know if he talked about, do you know that wife? The name of that wife? You did not talk about, okay, let me change. Okay. What was the city Prophet Muhammad died? Which city? Okay, go ahead. Medina. So I think this guy, he has to get some gift because he... Can I ask him another question? Are you okay with that? Because he raised his hand right away, so... Okay, we'll ask you another question. One of the sisters said about one of the forms of the jihad. So can you tell me different forms of the jihad? So jihad means, he discussed about this, struggle for the good cause. That's jihad. To protect the community, the land, and everything is under jihad. Jihad, it is not and it will never be, this is very important, to kill and harm innocent people. It's not, it will never be. One of the big conferences that I attended as an imam in Somalia, 160 scholars invited, and I was one of them, the Somali government, not only to condemn the acts of some groups, including Al-Shabaab, to kill innocent people, but to clear and show and give fatwa that jihad will never be to harm any human being. So what is one other form of jihad?
Well, I'm friends with Ilhan Omar, so I would say she's a jihadist.
Do you have 1,000? Do you have 1,000 cash? Okay. Okay. Again, it's 1,000 cents. That's the way I count, because I teach a lot of kids. I always say, like, okay, you did great job. Come here, get your 100. You know, 100, $1. So, okay. Yes, you had one. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I think the time is done. Thank you very much.